Hi everyone, this is Mrs. Parr, and on this episode of Math Up to Par, we are going to be talking about multiples, and then we're going to be finding the least common multiple, otherwise known as LCM. So when we are finding multiples, we are finding the product of one number and another number. So basically, it's just a list of skip counting by one number. So if you have a number and you skip count by that number, you are actually listing out the multiples of that number. One way to organize your multiples is by making a multiplication chart. So we have a multiplication chart over here in the corner. And as you can see, if you look across the row for your twos, you notice that it's skip counting by twos. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, so on. It has the same pattern skip counting down the column. So you can either look across the row or down the column. So those are my multiples of 2. My multiples of 3 are 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, so on. My multiples of 6 are 6, 12, 18, 24, 30. So you can find your multiples just by skip counting by that number, and a multiplication chart already has all of that information for you. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to list out our multiples of our 3s and our 7s. So let's start with our 3s right here. So I'm going to start with my number 3, and then I'm skip counting by that number, so I'm going to say 3 more. 3 more than 3 is 6. Then I'm going to do 3 more. 3 more than 6 is 9. Then 3 more than 9 is 12. As you can see, I continue in a pattern of adding 3 more each time, which is showing a list of my multiples. Okay, go all the way to 24. Okay, your multiples can go on and on and on forever, all the way to infinity. Okay, so all of these are multiples, but there are a lot of multiples. We'll look more at a good place to stop when we talk about finding the least common multiple. So let's make a list of our 7s. So we have 7, and then we add 7 more, which is 14. 7 more than that is 21. 7 more than that, which is 28. Okay, you'll notice I just followed the multiple pattern that I see over here on my multiplication chart. Okay, also I want you to notice how with the 3s it took us a longer time to build up to 24, whereas our 7s we got up to 28 in only 4 numbers. That's because 7 is a larger number than 3. So when you're skip counting by a larger number, it's going to build up to a bigger number quicker than the smaller number. So these are our multiples of 3. These are our multiples of 7. Okay, there's not a set place of where you're going to stop if you're just talking about multiples. Here's a larger picture of your multiplication chart, which just shows all of your multiples. So let's talk about finding our least common multiple. So to find the least common multiple, and you'll see the initials for that are LCM. So when you're finding your LCM of 2 or more numbers, you will want to list out the multiples of both numbers. Then we're going to compare the lists, and we're going to find the smallest number that both numbers, or that both lists have in common. Both numbers have in common. So let's go ahead and list out our multiples of 6 and 10. So I told you before, when we're listing out our multiples, it's hard to kind of know where to stop. There are a few strategies that you can use to approach that. I kind of like to go out 5 or 6 numbers to start. So let's just go ahead and we'll stop all the way at 36. Okay, so we'll stop there for now. We may need to go back and add more later, but for now we're going to go ahead and stop our list of multiples of 6. So now when I'm listing out my multiples of 10, I'm skip counting by 10. I am looking for a multiple of 10 that is in common with my multiple of 6. So if I'm listing out 10s, I'm going to say 10. My next number is 20. My next number is 30, 40, then 50, then 60. Now, I didn't need to go as far as I did for my tens. And the reason for this is because a third number into my list, I see that there is another number, another multiple that it has in common with my multiples of 6. If you'll notice, both lists have the number 30. So I see the number 30 right here and the number 30 right here. As of right now, I don't see any other numbers in common for both of my lists, but if I were to extend my 6s to 42, then 48, then 54, and 60, you would notice that they also have the number 60 in common. So as you can see, multiples continue on and on till infinity. So you're going to have more than one multiple in common with two different numbers, okay? So in this case, we have 30 and we have 60. But if we're finding the least common multiple, we're finding the one that is the smallest of the list that we can find. So the smallest one they have in common is 30. So our answer, our least common multiple of 6 and 10 is the number 30. That's our answer for our least common multiple. Let's look at it for 3 and 7, which is what we listed out on the first page. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you a strategy that I like to try. Sometimes I like to list out the larger number first because that can give me a guide as to where to stop with my smaller number. So a lot of times the questions will ask you the two numbers, but they'll give you the smaller number first, like in this one. But I'm going to start listing out my 7s first. So let's say 7, 14, 21, 28. I'm going to stop there for now. And I'm going to see if when I list out my 3s, I get a number that's up here, okay? So let's list out my 3s. 3, 6, 9, so far nothing in common. 12, 15, nothing yet. I've gotten close, but not there yet. 18, not there. 21, oh wait, 21, they both have the number 21 in common. So I know that I can stop there if I'm finding my least common multiple, because any number past 21 I might be able to find other common multiples, but I'm not going to be able to find another one that is less because I've already listed out all the multiples that they both have, and that's the smallest one that they have in common, okay? Because it's something in common. It's the smallest that they both have, and it's a multiple. So the answer would be 21 for the least common multiple of 7 and 3 or 3 and 7. So that strategy, I used my larger number first to help me figure it out. So let's look at our least common multiple of 4, 5, and 10. This time I have 3 numbers instead of 2. So I'm going to need to go ahead and make a list of all 3 numbers so that I can find the ones that all 3 of them have in common. So let's start and we'll make a list of our biggest number first. So we're going to do our 10s first. So I'm going to say 10, 20, 30, maybe I'll go to 40. I don't think I'm going to need to go that high, but I'm going to go ahead and list it out there. Then I'm going to list my next smallest. So I have 5, 10. I already see one in common. If I was just doing 5 and 10, the least common multiple would be 10. But I'm not sure if that's one for 4 or not. So I'm going to go ahead and go out a little bit further. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. I'll stop there for now. If I need to go back and add more later, if I don't find anything in common, I can. So far, I see that 10 is in common with both of them and 20 is in common with both of them. All right, let's see if 4 has any in common. So let's say we have 4, 8, 12. So far, it doesn't have anything in common with the ones above. So let's see when I keep going. 16, 20. Oh, wait, I see something in common. Look at that. All 3 numbers have a multiple of 20. Okay, so when you're finding a common multiple of three numbers, it has to be something that all three of them have in common. So they each have the number 20. Even though 5 and 10 share numbers like 10, 20, and even 30, if I keep going, that one is not in common with the 4. So even though 10 is less than 20, that's not a common multiple of all three numbers. It has to be a common multiple of all three. And the smallest one they all have in common is 20. Okay, so that is how you list out multiples. That is how you find your least common multiple of 2 or 3 or more numbers. All right, everyone, thanks so much for listening and happy practicing. Bye.